Richard Sorge, a spy in the eye of the storm. At the beginning of the 20th century, specifically on a stormy October day in 1895, a little boy was born in Baku, the capital of Azerbaijan, at that time under the control of the Russian Empire. No one imagined that this child, named Richard Sorge, would one day become one of the most dangerous spies in human history. His father was a German engineer working for a German oil company, and his mother was Russian. This blend of two different cultures gave Richard a sharp mind, a multilingual tongue, and a dual personality from childhood. War wounds and the birth of an idea. At the age of 20, World War I broke out, and Sorge joined the German army and fought valiantly in its ranks. But the war did not pass him by unnoticed. He was severely wounded in his hand and leg. While in the hospital, overwhelmed by pain, loneliness, and blood, he began to think a lot. He read the writings of Karl Marx, was influenced by socialist thought, and began to feel anger toward imperialist regimes that waged wars for money. Anger turned into conviction, and conviction into a new loyalty. He joined the German Communist Party and quickly became part of the Soviet intelligence community, which sought sharp minds, memorable faces, and witty tongues. And Sorge was all of these. Becoming a shadow. Sorge was assigned as a secret spy for the Soviet military intelligence. He wasn't like any other spy. He was unique. He didn't carry guns, but he had charisma. He didn't disguise himself in black, but lived as his true self, a Nazi German journalist. His first assignment was to China, where he met a German woman named Christine Brink, who would later become his lover and partner in clandestine work, even though she never knew his true identity. But the most important assignment, the one that would make his name inscribed in history books in letters of fire, was in Japan. The Soviet man in the heart of Tokyo. In 1933, Sorge arrived in Tokyo disguised as a German reporter for a Nazi newspaper. Thanks to his vast knowledge, eloquence, and personal charm, he was able to infiltrate Japan's most complex political circles. But his greatest achievement was that he became a close friend of the German ambassador to Tokyo, General Eugene Ott. Yes, Sorge began to walk in and out of the German embassy as he pleased, attending meetings, reading Hitler's secret cables, and then in the evenings writing a detailed report to Moscow. From there, from a Tokyo cafe, where he sat quietly with a cigar and a notebook, secrets flowed into the heart of the Kremlin. The most brilliant thing he did, and the most dangerous thing he revealed. But the pinnacle of his work wasn't just reporting. In 1941, Richard Sorge sent a secret message to Stalin saying, "Hitler will invade the Soviet Union within weeks. Beware." But Stalin, with his well-known stubbornness, didn't believe him. He ignored the message. Weeks later, Operation Barbarossa occurred, the German invasion of Soviet territory. Despite this, Sorge didn't despair. He then sent another, more important report. Japan will not attack the Soviet Union from the east. It will turn toward the Pacific Ocean, and the conflict will be with America. That message changed the course of history. Based on it, Stalin transferred more than 50 divisions from Siberia to the Moscow front, just as Nazi forces were approaching the capital. These reinforcements saved Moscow from falling and gave the Red Army a chance to respond. Falling into Japan's trap. But even the greatest spies make mistakes. The Japanese police began monitoring his movements after suspecting his unusual activities. And over time, the coded messages he was sending to Moscow were tracked. In 1941, after more than 8 years in hiding, the police raided his home, and he was arrested. The investigations began. The torture began. But Sorge didn't confess. He remained silent about the fact that he was working for the Soviet Union despite everything he had been through. His wife and mistress tried to intervene. Germany tried to intervene to secure his release, considering him a German citizen. But the Japanese had already understood who he was and knew he was a threat. On November 7, 1944, the same day as the anniversary of the Bolshevik Revolution, Richard Sorge was executed by hanging. After his death, the hero returned. Amazingly, the Soviet Union denied any connection to him even after his death. But 20 years later, in 1964, after the political winds had shifted, the Soviet government finally recognized his heroic role and awarded him the title of Hero of the Soviet Union, the country's highest military award. Today, Richard Sorge's name is taught in intelligence schools around the world. Because he wasn't just a spy. He was a remarkable mind. Because he didn't carry a weapon, but a password, an idea. Because he could deceive the Nazis, the Japanese, and the entire world with simply a pen and a newspaper article. The spy who silently changed the world. If Richard Sorge hadn't written that last telegram to Moscow, the capital might have fallen, the outcome of the war might have changed, and the face of the world might have changed. But he did, and he died without honor. He died in a Japanese dungeon, while the world didn't know that anyone like him had ever passed among us.